Let me show you how to create an analog clock on this RP2350 display using LVGL. Hi, I'm John, your concierge of the world of the Raspberry Pi Pico, Pico 2, robotics, IoT and other fun slices of tech. Now, I've recently done a Secret Santa project that was based on this display and this clock face. I added a few things to make that project smart. At its heart though is the LVGL meter widget, and it all started with the LVGL's examples actually. Let's start there and see if we can smooth off some of the rough edges before we have some fun with a crazy clock face. If this video sparks your inspiration or helps your projects, consider dropping me a tip using that super thanks button that's below the video, or alternatively there's a payment link in the description. And why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video? So for all of the demos that I'm going to show and all of the clock faces, including the one that's going backwards at the end, they're all going to be on GitHub, and I'm going to share all of the code with you so you can follow along and try these things out yourself. So where do we begin for this project? Well, really it all began with the LVGL documentation and a really clever widget called the meter, which is incredibly flexible and allows us to do things in lots of different ways. So of course we can have just a simple meter where it's basically giving us an analog dial. It's giving us this indicator, the arm there, and we can show a value and various ranges. Okay, that's great, but actually this is really flexible. So we can actually change the way this appears quite significantly and have a number of other scales. So how about a more arc-based meter that's based on 3 separate scales all running at once and values all running at once? Yeah, all there, and all of the examples of how to do this in the meet is in the documentation. And also in that documentation is the example of how to build an analog clock with meter. Yeah, exactly what we're trying to achieve. So let's start with that and start with the code in their example, which is all there as well. And let's adapt that and port that to run on our Waveshare screen. And then we can work from there because there are a few improvements I'd like to make. So let's start with a really simple example that's just an hour and minute clock, and this is based exactly on the code that we've seen in LVGL's documentation. Well, nearly. They used an extra complexity of having a image for the actual arms, and I'm not. I'm just dropping back to default, which is just a line, which seems fine to me. So over on the repo, I've got a number of example projects. The one I want to start with is this clock H&M. And I want to just briefly talk you through the structure. So to set up these projects, we've got a couple of key folders here. We've got our source code for the actual project, not many classes and source files involved in there. We've got some port code. So this is what makes LVGL work on this actual display. So this is sort of the glue code. But shouldn't need to touch that for what we're doing. And then we've got some board code as well, a board description file for this Waveshare RP2350 Touch because it's not in the SDK. So we need that. And then I'm also loading in some shared libraries, which is this BSP library here, which is the low-level drivers for the board, and LVGL, which is the graphics library that we're using to control all this things. And those are the only two we need to worry about. So every one of these projects is going to follow pretty much exactly the same structure, in fact. And most of this code is going to be identical. The only bits we're going to really worry about is what's in Widget and what's in GUI, the GUI clock. But let's start with main, because main's doing some important stuff for us. Because main basically is going to set everything up. So this is doing all of the setup to run up LVGL and have that available to us. So it initializes all of the hardware and all of the hardware I think is necessary. I've turned off some of that hardware. I just commented it out. Sorry about that. It initializes the code that's actually connecting our LVGL to our display, which is those 2 port lines there. Sets up a little bit of a timer so that everything keeps running, and LVGL has a clock, and then it creates and initializes our widgets. And it's our widgets that are really going to do all of the work, as you've probably seen on my previous LVGL videos. So widget basically is a class that we're going to just create and initialize, and that will then go off and run things. So I can see by looking at the definition of the class here, we've probably got a timer in it. In fact, we have. There's the timer. We've got an object which is going to be our screen, that's PTV. We've got the GUI clock. Oh, okay, well I know where that is over there. And we've got some counter for minutes. There's not actually going to be a lot in here. What widgets is going to do is it's going to initialize the screen so that we have a screen object, and it's going to pass that over into clock and say, hey, draw your clock on there. And then it's going to set up this timer, and all of this timer is going to do via these 2 functions here is basically just generate a fake time by clicking very quickly and making the clock just click through the minutes quite quickly so that we can visually see it moving. So all I've got there is a timer, and I'm just taking that timer back into hours and minutes and then asking the clock to show itself. So really all of the code that we worry about to draw our clock, that's all in GUI, in the GUI clock class here. And GUI clock class here is also fairly simple, because all we've got there is the ability to initialize it, set it up, and then show the time. And then all it's going to do is it's going to use a meter object and a couple of indicators, which are going to be the 2 hands. So let's have a look. So the first thing we need, I guess, to initialize this is we need to know how wide and tall our screen is. So I've got horizontal and vertical sizes that I'm just calculating there and bringing back from LVGL. And then I'm going to create a meter, and I'm going to put it on this parent object, which is going to basically just be on one screen. And I'm going to set its size to be the maximum size I can, so use up all of the space on this display. And I'm going to make sure it's centered. Then I'm going to add a couple of scales to it. So I can add a scale for minutes, which is here, and I'm going to define what the tick spacing is using this function here. And then I'm going to give it a scale, and I'm going to, of course, minutes are between 0 and 60. And then we're going to do the same for hours. So we create another scale for hours, and we're going to have 12 divisions on that scale and 12 ticks, and we're going to have its values go from 1 to 12. So using those 2 scales, then I can actually create our needles, and which are basically our clock arms. So I can have a minute arm, and we put that against the minute scale, and then I can put an hour arm, which I'll put against the hour scale. And it's setting those 2 values that we do in order to set the time. So if we have a look at show time, then all we're doing is just setting the minutes indicator to be the minutes value that I've passed in, and same for hour value. Now I've done a bit of checking here just to make sure values are viable before we start setting them to bizarre times that we can't display on our clock. So my first little refinement to this is I don't really like the way that the hour hand is moving, the way that it basically just jumps from each of the digits. I prefer the hand to actually move gently round. So can I actually adjust it and actually have that hour hand move more flexibly between the major hour numbers? Yeah, of course, let's see my approach to that. So let's just refine it a tiny bit here. And in this example, h frac m, so fractions of h, or fractions of hours, is what I was trying to get across. It's sort of sweeping. But the only change to this is actually changes in the GUI clock code. Nothing else has actually changed. And in fact, the setup of the clock is identical. The I guess the bit that you will notice has changed here is that the hour hand is no longer pointing to the hour scale. It's actually pointing to the minute scale. And the reason I wanted to do that is to basically then give me 60 positions that I could put that hour hand in. So that hour hand can swing between 12 and 1 as we move through the hour. That means I need to work out which pseudo minute we should be pointing it to. And so in showtime now, I do a little bit of calculations to work out what the value of h should be. And then I'm going to use that to set it. And that's just basically a little movement of the hand every basically 5 minutes. How about adding a second hand so that we can see hours, minutes and seconds? Well, that's really very easy too. Well, adding a second hand we're doing in this clock HMS example. And again, actually there are a couple of changes here. I was going to say it's just in GUI clock, but actually I'm going to change our counter in widgets to now be counting up in seconds, and the timer function in widgets is going to break down that seconds into seconds, minutes and hours, and then when we show the clock and ask it to show the time, we're going to go hours, minutes and seconds. So in the GUI clock, actually the setup of the clock is pretty much the same. We're not adding an additional scale for seconds. We don't need one. We can use the minute scale. What I'm actually going to just do is add an additional indicator, which is going to be the seconds indicator, and it's going to point to that minute scale. So then we can basically make that seconds indicator, there it is, point to the value that we've passed in as seconds. And that's it. That was simple, wasn't it? Okay, so just for a little bit of fun, let's have a backwards clock where the numbers are actually running anti-clockwise around the dial, and the clock is responding in an anti-clockwise way. Now this one isn't quite perfect, I know, because I probably would have liked the number 12 to actually be right at the top and directly vertical, and it's not. It's sort of in the 1 o'clock position, so I probably need to go and fix that. But I just wanted to show how easy this is to change though. Okay, so let's get overconfident. So in the clock backwards file, I've got an example to try and drive the clock backwards. Now this is going back to just the H&M sort of sweeping example, and I've taken out the seconds because I think that makes it a little bit too complicated when we start talking about going backwards. Though, I mean, from a code point of view, it's really not actually that difficult, because you see, I'm still going to count forwards. My widget code that's working out the time here and is identical. I've not changed that at all. In fact, the meters are the same. In fact, the show time is the same. Where's the change? Well, the change is tiny. The change of these lines on the scale. I've actually just basically flipped the scale around to say that it goes from 60 to 0 rather than 0 to 60 in terms of minutes. And same for the hour one, from 12 to 1 rather than 1 to 12. That's it. And that is enough to give us a clock that is now actually going to run backwards with all of the dial completely reversed. How easy was that? These analog clock faces on the LVGL are simple and surprisingly customizable. I'd love to see some ideas from you on interesting clock faces. Send them over and I'll share them in a future video. If this video helps you out or sparks your ideas for your own projects, consider dropping me a tip using that super thanks button below the video, or alternatively there's a payment link in the description. I'm saving these up to get myself over to the open source conference in San Francisco in 2026, and every contribution brings me one step closer, and I'd love to meet some of you there too. If you want to take this up another level, then consider watching my Secret Santa smart clock episode.